Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 24-4, and we're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we hang out and listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We just pick a wacky topic, and we try to find music that fits that topic.
Sometimes the topic comes from just random events. Sometimes the topic is based off of something I had for breakfast. Sometimes it's based off of something Rob passed during one of his daily jogs. And other times the topic can be based on current events and life happenings.
And sometimes it's based on something I've just passed.
In general.
In general.
Not even on a run, just
passed through. Anyway, so I saw that you finished Death End Request. How was that?
I liked it. It was funny because the desire to finish it was originally triggered by the fact that I got a review code for the second game, and I wanted to make sure that I had the game completed just in case there was like a direct tie-in. I didn't want to be spoiled by it. So The end result was the story was good. The combat starts good, and while it never becomes bad, it does become like repetitive, but again, I think that issue can exist in like any, like a lot of JRPGs that are like semi-turn based. So
sure.
I don't really fault it for that. The narrative was cool. It was, so if you're not familiar with it, the story was penned by the guy who did Corpse Party. So it's a Corpse Party themed like esque story, but it is a JRPG. So you're doing. There's like there's like a visual novel element to the game, and then there's the RPG element to the game. And the premise is that there is a character who is trapped inside of a MMORPG that went dormant for 6 months and then just reactivated itself. Like they shut it down, it got reactivated 6 months later on its own, and she was in it. But up to that point, she was missing. Something happened to her. And then the lead programmer on the game realizes that the game is running. He boots it up and discovers her character's in the game. But she doesn't remember how she got there. She doesn't know where she is outside of the game. So she can't log out. So the guy surmises, if we can, this is some weird stuff, but this is what it did. There's like, we programmed something in the game that was designed to make people not play the game too much, which is called the ending engage, where when you beat the game proper, it kicks you out. Like, whereas an MMORPG in typical days, like, you'll play forever.
Oh, yeah.
Their game, they intended for you to get kicked out when you were done, like when you beat it.
Yeah.
So he decided, if we can get you to the end of the game, we can trigger this thing and you'll escape. But of course, this game world is littered with bugs that didn't exist before. It's like a very virus-written game. So they're contending with the bugs while she's running through the game. They come across other people. This whole weird thing about the cult, a cult shows up. There's like weird murders that are happening, kidnappings. It gets crazy. And then the funny part is at the end, it sort of pulls an interesting tangent. Like on one hand, like a lot of people say this game has a fairly unique story. But I immediately was like, this has similarities to Digital Devil Saga. I immediately pulled that when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's Digital Devil Saga right there.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, there was also hints of like general, say, fourth wall stuff.
Okay.
Where it's like, I've played games that use this too, but at the same time, I always like when games do that. I like when games do the fourth wall. Like, wait a minute, you've been there the whole time, haven't you? And it's like, wait, he's talking to me, like the actual me.
Was it like a reveal
cool.
like later on where it's like, oh no, it's all about.
Yeah.
They did that with and it's kind of hidden and it's kind of not, but in the game Inside, it's a lot like that too, where
they reveal like your outside the game entity plays a role in the game itself.
Yeah, it's during the true ending, and even then, it's open to interpretation because there's no dialogue in that game, and there's no text, there's nothing. It's just the visuals and the gameplay. But that's a lot like that. I've been playing this similar style where it takes place inside an MMO. I've been playing a lot more crosscode. And
have you been enjoying this still?
I gotta tell you, I finally got to the first like proper dungeon in that game, like the first like big long one, and I love it. I like that. What I've discovered is I'm not really big on the combat in the game, and all of like the little side quests they want you to do, because it's very repetitive, and the combat is kind of like, it's just
button mashing.
It's kind of button mashing and a little repetitive, but the puzzles in the dungeon are so much fun. And I have to say, the music, it reminds me of a mixture between Final Fantasy and Phantasy Star Online. Like every time I'm honestly only playing right now to hear more music from the game and like where it fits, because it's that good. It's so good.
It's kind of nice when a game's music is a driving force or factor to progression.
Really, yeah. I haven't experienced that in a while, to be honest. But like, I don't know how much further I'm going to play, because I feel like there's this really interesting story at the very beginning of the game, but I've just been killing like little hedgehog monsters for like 4 hours, trying to collect enough wood pieces to give to the merchant. To like, there's this whole overarching story that's lost in itself.
The grind.
It's lost in itself too. Like it's making me feel like I'm in an MMO.
In that regard, it's probably doing the job it intended.
Probably, yeah. But like
you are
at this point,
MMO.
if the story comes back around, I don't know if it's going to be as meaningful, because I haven't been exposed to it. I mean, granted, I'm not doing all this in one sitting, because I don't have that kind of patience. But yeah. Anyway, I'm probably going to keep back at it just because I want to explore more areas. The game is beautiful. I love how colorful it is, and it plays pretty snappy. Like it's really really tight. So
I will say that's one good thing about Death End Request, though, in that regard, and in that it never, the story is like almost always the driving force.
That's good.
Because like, and even if you get to the point where you're like, the MMO part might drag, I'm like, well, fine, I'm just going to run past the monsters. If I need to get experience, I'll pick it up later.
Yeah.
Like I got to the final set of bosses, and every fight was giving me 4 levels because I literally did start just ditching battles when I didn't feel like it.
That's what I'm going to do. The last 2 areas, I was like kind of grinding through it because I felt like I needed to be at a high enough level to beat whatever the next boss was going to be, or I needed to explore everything. So, or there was like a collect quest to like to defeat every like type of animal in the area. And I think what I'm going to do is what I did with Persona 3, which is just
definitely not 5.
Nope, or 4. I'm just going to blow through the entire dungeon and fight bosses until I can't do it anymore, and then go back and grind, because I like the exploration. I like everything else. Like, if I can avoid fighting, I wonder if it'll scale. Maybe I'm not meant to,
That makes sense. I mean, I definitely have played games where that happens, where the enemies can be tougher, but you're never incapable of beating them. And then when you do beat something, it's like, oh, they just exploded with EXP, so you're practically catching up anyway.
You were so far behind, so here you go. But now a game with terrible controls that I've been enjoying immensely is Fall Guys. Have you tried this yet?
I have not. I've accepted that I have this propensity for playing. I need to play games where I can progress in some fashion.
Yeah, there's no progression. Like I really only got into it because I was kind of bored, and I got some people on Zoom. I got Daryl and Ed and Justin, and actually Mike Levy was there too. He was in the background.
Oh, cool.
He was at Justin's house. So.
Oh, you can't play on more than one player on the same console.
No, and that's lame. I mean, it should just be split screen, or like at least 4, because it's just a silly game. But it's fun that way, because we were all like once someone like falls out, like we're all cheering each other on, or when we're all in the game together, we're trying to like bump each other off the map. But like that. Past that, I don't think I'm going to really get into it, because it's more fun with the people that you can actually interact with.
That makes sense. If you're playing with the strangers, it doesn't quite register. But if you're playing with people you can actually shout and yell at, that's fun.
You were out that night, and I was really hoping to get you, because it would have been it would have been a lot more fun with you.
Yeah, that's the night I actually went to the arcade. Actually, now I think about it.
Okay, yeah, because these two were driving, and I was like, "Are you just driving around, or?"
No, I had driven. When I saw the message, I was actually driving back home from the arcade, because when you first sent it, I was already there doing my thing, so I didn't know. I wasn't looking at the phone for squat. I had the heart rate monitor running, and I was stepping.
You were going. That was me on Saturday. I attempted a marathon on Saturday that was 20 minutes.
Was it one of those marathons where everybody kind of does it virtually, and it creates like a pseudo course? It's like, if you ran this far, you ran the distance from here to there.
No, it's just a hard house, like a hard style mix for 20 minutes.
Oh, so the idea was just here's some music. Oh, wait, you're talking about DDR. I think you're talking about running.
Oh, no, I did that. So it was. I've been trying. My goal this year is to finish pass a 15. I want to get to I can barely do 14. So if I can get to a 15 by the end of the year, I'll be happy. And this is my first 15 I got really close on.
Now, what is the max number that they have in this thing?
I think the max that anyone's ever passed is 24. And people are creating like 26s and 27s and 28s. Now, when the scaling is weird, because if you do a lower BPM, then the only way to really make it harder is to make it longer. So for this thing was only 150 BPM, so they had to make it like 20 minutes. But other 15s are only like 4 minutes long, but they're like 180, 190 BPM. And I can't step that fast. I can't read that. Like I can read it, but I can't get my legs going. I'm capping at like 170. So I was starting to play it just to see how far I could get, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm actually going to do it. I am actually going to do it. And then I got to minute 19. I could see the ending. I was right at the end, and my leg
got tired.
No, I was fine. My legs locked up. And my legs locked up, and I couldn't hit the down arrow correctly. And then I got in my own head, and I failed out. And I had never been so defeated by a video game, ever in my life.
But you were playing for 20 minutes of aggressive steps. I mean, that's kind of...
I know, but like to be so close to the ending and then fail out, it's like, it's not just, okay, I can try it again. Like, that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time gone.
It's like, I'm not going to try this again. I got close enough to where I know I could have done it, so I'm not going to waste the time to try it again.
Nope, it's not done until I could do it. And I kind of want to do it before the end of the month, because I can get experience points for it. And before the end of the month, the game ends, the RPG ends, and then
like for good.
Yeah, it's an annual thing. It's the qualifier for the tournament that I dragged you to last year.
Oh no, I remember that.
Yeah, that tournament is all virtual this year. It was going to be at a hotel, obviously not. So
with that pop machine, which would I would have utilized.
Oh, it was going to be bigger this year. So,
really?
Yeah, it was going to be much bigger in a larger hotel with more setups, with a lot more like extra games going on. So
nuts. COVID.
I know. Well, maybe next year. He's still planning on it if they can do it, because they put a lot of money into it.
I hope so.
But I'm hoping to get back to it. I'm taking a break because I need a mental break. I need my legs hurt still. I need a leg break. And that was Saturday.
So you're still feeling pain from Saturday?
I'm still feeling like a tightness in my hamstrings. So I know it's tough. It is like marathon training. Like when I'm training running, like everything is in pain all the time. But I'm rolling my muscles now, and it's a lot better. What else? I think those are the only games I'm really playing. I was playing Tetris on my phone for a while.
That doesn't sound very easy.
It's not. They tried to, but there's all this competitive stuff. So if you download Tetris for iOS, there's it's called Tetris Prime Time, and like at 9 p.m. like every night or every Friday, you can actually play for cash. And that's it's like they're trying to do like remember that Xbox thing where it was like a game show.
Oh, I missed that.
It's kind of like that.
That was a genius product.
Where every time you turn the app on, the host is like just this loud Australian man just yells at you to play Tetris, and then I guess he hosts the whole thing. But it's kind of silly, but that's all right. And then today I finally started work on lobster racing when I should have been doing other stuff. But my goal for that is to finish like a track and field style game, like real simple, and then slowly build in networking features where people can like spectate and bet on the matches.
I'm going to bet that it succeeds. I couldn't even come up with a good joke for that. I'm going to bet on claw.
Bet on the claws.
Bet on the claws.
Crawfish boil.
God, see, now I want a crawfish boil.
Dang
it! I want that. You want to make that this weekend?
You should do that. You should do that. No one's stopping. I'm not your dad.
And my dad ain't gonna find out because he'll want some.
Yeah. You gotta keep it from him. You can't take pictures on Facebook.
Better believe it. He can't have none of it. And for those who are like, that's cold blooded, that's your dad. Let me tell you something. My dad will go out and buy crabs or a set of like T-bone steaks. No, when he knows no one's coming over. That's specifically when he'll do it. And he'll cook it all up. Keep in mind, my dad's also a chef, so these are some banging steaks or nice crabs, but usually it's the steak.
And he'll keep it to himself?
Give it to him so he'll eat at the table with potatoes.
Messed up.
He'll smirk. We're presuming that he smirked because perfect crime. And he'll just eat them and he'll smile like, I'm so glad my boys ain't here. Yes.
But you got somebody on the inside letting you know. Like, yeah.
But he'll tell us later. He's like, oh, by the way, I had some nice T-bone steaks. You didn't tell nobody? Okay, how it is. I see how it is. Or the worst is when it's like catfish, because that's like my favorite food.
Oh, you love
catfish.
catfish.
Like, hey, catfish?
One of my earliest Otakon memories was hanging out with you in like on the live action video room, and we're all sitting there watching something. And all of a sudden, like, you bring out like this plate of catfish, and you're peeling back the aluminum foil, and you're like, I'm having lunch, and everyone's like, what's that smell in here?
Like, where'd you even get that from?
Yeah, you just brought it in. That was when Otakon was very different, very
That's
different.
right. That's when conventions as a whole were different.
Very different. I'm not gonna say better because like I don't care, like better or worse. They were just excuses for like, people like me in their 20s to get drunk and watch anime. But like,
I don't even think it was better so much as it was better for us. And I say that because it's an age thing.
Yeah.
At that time, it served its purpose. And then as you get older, and I'm not saying this as I grew up. More like just time passes and you've experienced this activity multiple times, but it just doesn't have the same impact to you. Like, I was going to Anime Central for years.
Yeah.
I've gone up till I think I went last year.
So you've seen the evolution.
Yeah, I've seen it I've been going there since 2000, and I went like last year. But now I only really go, and my friends are trying like, you gotta go, man. They're convincing me to go, but ultimately I'm like, I've kind of done it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. But I like being around my friends. But there was a period in time though when I got excited for Anime Central, and I would look forward to getting on the plane and going out there and doing all the stuff. And now I'm just like, I have all the games at home. I can chat with you guys on Facebook. I don't watch anime.
I think a lot of people our age are feeling that way. Now, when it comes to MagFest, it's a little different.
That is true.
Yeah.
But MagFest
is a
there's
music festival.
more for me.
Yeah, there's
not even just the music. Like, I also feel like even if I'm there by myself at any point, I'll just go and play arcade machines that I can't play at home.
Yeah, exactly. Play Virtual on.
Yep. Yeah. They have a marketplace. I can look at the marketplace for deals on stuff.
There you go.
But since they're a video game con, their products cater more towards my interest than an anime con's deals room with. But you have a board game vendors there, and you know how I am about that.
Oh yeah.
So I will hit that up. I'll hit the video game vendors up, and I don't typically buy collectibles because I hate collectors' prices. But every once in a blue moon, I'll come across that product. I'm like, I wish I owned that. Oh, they have it, and it's affordable. I'll grab that. Get it done. Which reminds me, I need to sell this darn Rock Band 4. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it.
It's collecting dust, right?
It's worth $500 in collecting dust.
That's a lot of dust.
Yes, it is. And I keep telling myself, watch them sell it and then going to regret getting rid of it. But I haven't played it. I bought it, and the day it came out, actually. And the whole reason I purchased it, because I was like, I'm going to get the band back together. I miss hanging out with my friends. Maybe we can all get together and play Rock Band like we used to. And then it didn't happen because everybody was married with children. But none of them were Al Bundy. It was very disappointing. But so as a result, we could never quite coordinate the effort. Mm. So the game never came out of the box. It just sat there. It changed from the apartment to the house, and now it's just sitting in the corner looking at me like, "Don't you want to open me up?" I'm like,
it's just staring at you, being like, "All your friends left you, Purnell. I'm just a reminder that everyone left you except for me. I'm here for you."
Exactly. All you gotta do is open me up, and you'll have one member of your 4-man band. Like, thanks, game.
Thanks.
You suck.
You suck.
So honestly, I got this feeling it's gonna be one of those cases where it's like I'm eyeballing it as a thing I don't want to get rid of. But if I manage to actually get it out of here, I won't even care that it's
do it. I mean, there's a Facebook group for rhythm games. They are buy and sell rhythm games, and things, everything from poppin' music machines to pump it up machines to like PS2 home versions of DDR.
But that is like eBay might just make sense. That's got to figure out how much of a cut they're going to take from
John,
it. I've seen it self-defined.
Go to pricecharting.com. That's where I sold all my Dreamcast stuff.
Do they take a cut though?
A small cut, yeah. But like, if you can get a buyer, then it's worth it. For me, it was more important to get it to somebody who was going to appreciate it.
That's true. I figure someone's going to pay that much for this game. They're going to appreciate it. Or they're crazy.
All right. Well, we should probably get the topic on. We've been going about 20 minutes. Why don't you describe what the topic is this week?
Okay, so for those who were, well, I'm not going to go into too much, but I mean, if you've been listening to the show adamantly, you know where we're from. And basically, while somehow it just barely missed Rob, like he got hit by some of the impact, but not enough to be like, oh crap, it's a storm.
Yeah, I was actually in my basement playing DDR at the time, and all the lights went out, and they came back. But like some other people got hit so hard with this.
Yeah,
tornado.
and I was one of them. Yeah. Like the tornado landed. We had a tornado last weekend. Well, I guess 2 weekends from the time this episode comes out. And when it came down, like our area is not known for having tornadoes, so it was a complete shock to everybody. And the fact that it actually hit my house, like it touched down in my neighborhood, it was brutal. It tore trees down. I almost had my house crushed by a tree, but it fell in the opposite direction of my house, which was convenient. So it actually smashed through a shed and some fencing and some stuff, but it ultimately didn't damage anyone's actual home. So it damaged property, but no one's home. We had a lot of flooding. It was pandemonium over here, the likes of which that, I mean, I'm sure like Midwest areas have had it far worse, but from an area that just never deals with it to a point where now we are. Hey, climate change is real, by the way, just to point that out.
Yeah, so this episode is all about acts of God.
Natural disasters or just the dangers of the elements.
Yeah.
Any way you want to phrase it, we're talking smashy, nature waitery.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I gotta tell you,
Mother Nature's here, and she is pissed.
So my first pick is so on the nose, Pernell will start laughing. This is from the Game & Watch gallery for the Game Boy Advance. And
what?
Yes, and the game is called Rain Shower.
I will admit before I go on, like, this was surprisingly not an easy topic to choose from. Like, I swear I've played more games that involve like earthquakes and like lava chases than I could recall.
Well, I'll tell you, like,
tracks.
I can think of like all of like these environmental like games. Or like, you know, there's the Captain Planet. There's I found one. It was an Awesome Possum. Is all about
kick Dr. Machino's butt.
Yeah, exactly. Even that's about like but it's about people polluting. It's not about like the weather changing. So that's kind of where I'm going with all my stuff. So this is Rain Shower from Game & Watch Gallery 4 for the Game Boy Advance, and this is composed by Riyou Kinugasa and Kengo Hagiwara. So good.
Frank got married today.
Well, Mazel Tov.
Mazel Mini Tov.
That was Rain Shower from the Game & Watch Gallery 4 for the Game Boy Advance, composed by Riyou Kinugasa and Kengo Hagiwara. And I had to look through some of these games mainly because Alex Messenger loves these games and loves the music from these games. And there's some really good stuff, like really interesting melodies and rhythms, as this one especially. Like, it's on the Game & Watch Gallery, it's on the Game Boy Advance, but it sounds like Game Boy Color.
So you're saying he loves the games themselves, or particularly the music from the game?
I think it's both.
I will say there's like something nice about, like, I haven't played a ton of them and I really should, but I used to, when I was a kid, and I guess kind of now, I just got to figure out where I put them. I used to have 2 Nintendo Game & Watch tabletop games.
Oh.
I had Snoopy and I had Mario's Cement Factory.
Oh, that's a classic. Yeah.
And they were both pretty much like Game & Watch games to the level. Like, you know, they had the overlay where, like, you could, if you looked at it just the right angle, you could see every animation that the character can have, like every sprite style. So you push the button, it just kind of flash to the next one.
The liquid crystal display would sort of like fill in all the little sections. Yeah, I used to love that stuff because I didn't have like game consoles for a long time, like when Nintendo came out. So I played like all the Tiger handheld electronics all the time, all that stuff. And I had one Nintendo Game & Watch that was... It was that one where you're like, people are jumping out of a burning building, and you gotta catch them.
Oh yeah, I played this like with the firemen with the two. They're both holding the parachute drop.
Yeah, and a lot of these games are like that. They're very simple, like score attack type things. And Rain Shower is like, I think in the Game & Watch gallery anyway, it's Bowser, and he's like dropping like bombs or something. And there's like Baby Yoshi and Baby Mario, and they're all hanging on these vines that are horizontal, and you have to like pull them and push them so that they're out of the way of the rain, essentially. Oh, yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's really clever. But like they're all kind of like that. You have to catch this, or you have to avoid that, and you just do it as it gets faster and faster and faster. But for a simple game, especially simple games, all of the music in Game & Watch gallery is interesting. They have A and B sections to the song, like essentially like a verse and a chorus. It's very cool.
Boop, 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 boop. It is catchy.
This is super catchy. I mean, that is really, really catchy. So, so that is Rain Shower for our episode about rain.
Natural disasters.
Yeah. All right. What's your first track then? Your Active Purnell.
That's right. Well, this first one I picked. Honestly, all of mine are going to be from more modern games, but that's just like, again, that's what was coming to mind. I couldn't think of any more like older games that clicked for this.
Well, that's where I like fall down. I don't know all the new stuff. So, or new stuff meaning anything after 2005. I don't know any of that.
He's like, I'm serious, guys. I need help. My first track comes from the game Just Cause 4. This is Combat Theme 8, and it's composed by Zach Abramson. Abraham Simpson. Welcome back. You're listening to Combat Theme 8 from the game Just Cause 4, composed by Zach Abramson. It's interesting how, like, when games like this, I usually don't care all that much for their OSTs, but for the theme of the episode and what I'll talk about in a second, I was like, well, I have to pick a track from this game, assuming I can find a track that sounds good. And again, usually with these games, when I play them, the music is just kind of like a background piece. 'Cause that's how it's designed to be used. It's just kind of there to have noise while you're out doing your daring do.
Yeah,
it's never builds, really memorable.
Yeah, it builds like emotion and builds some suspense, but there's no like hooky kind of melody or something that's like in an NES title. You know, that's getting your interest.
Exactly. And yet, for some reason, with all the combat tracks in this game, this specific one did kind of resonate with me when it would pick up the tempo. Like, I kind of like the sound of that. And like, this is the one I can actually go with and feel comfortable picking for the show. But of course, now comes the question of like, why the heck would you pick a track from a game called Just Cause 4? What's so special about that? Well, I've never played it. Fun fact, I've played Just Cause 3. But the last time I went to E3, I actually went to a press screening for when this game was first getting announced. So at the time, I was like, it's just another Just Cause game, but I got to write an article on it, so whatever. I'll go and sit in on this thing. I walk in, I sit down, the guy comes out and he's doing his thing. He's controlling Rico Rodriguez, and he gets to the hook of the game, which is the thing that makes this a sequel versus just another running gun shooter or whatever, or open world adventure shooter.
Okay. And
that is natural disaster. Oh. So in this game, the thing that he primarily showed off was a couple of areas of the game where he'd be like in the middle of a combat skirmish. He's trying to liberate a base or something. And then out of nowhere, a tornado will just rip across the field and just cut into the base. What? And like, it's not just like a visual trick. Like, it is literally ripping up the landscape. And if you're in it, it will kill you. Like, it'll take you up and you'll get smashed around with stuff and it can kill you. Like, the tornadoes were designed to be literal forces of nature that could destroy the landscape. Yeah. Now, of course, the downside to this, which I acknowledged even during the thing, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to be able to ask him. He's going to confirm, because they don't want to tell you this junk. But the damage isn't persistent. So if a tornado rips up a base and you leave that environment and come back in like 20 minutes, the base is built again. Like, it's not going to be forever destroyed by a natural disaster. But
so the studio that developed the game, Avalanche, they or Avalanche, or however you say it, they built their own game engine for this game called the Apex game engine. And with Just Cause 4, they had updated it with all of these new features to allow these crazy, diverse, and extreme weather effects that would like destroy things and get in the way of the player. So like, that's what they were really showing off. So yeah, that's absolutely it.
And they succeeded at it too, because like, it was if I remember correctly, the game was broken up into different biomes, and each biome had a different natural disaster style that you had to contend with, like sandstorms or tornadoes or flooding.
Wow.
So, and the one I was exposed to was the tornadoes specifically, and I still believe that to this day, and if someone wants to say otherwise, let me know, because I would love to try it, but I believe this is probably the best use of like tornado environmental effects to have ever seen in a video game. Like, it's beautiful.
I don't know.
And that tornadoes are destructive monstrosities of nature. In a game context, it was beautiful.
Well, I don't know, Pernell. I mean, I think the best example of this kind of natural phenomena in a video game happened way, way long ago.
It's not SimCity.
It's SimCity.
Oh, God!
Classic SimCity for Windows. And I believe we're going to listen to the theme song, but I believe that this is the theme song recorded on a Windows on a PC with the OPL 9, I think OPL 3. Someone will correct me. The OPL something sound card, and I chose that because I love the way this one sounds. I think the composer is Chris Tilton. I'm not positive because there's so many different versions of this game on different consoles and ports and such.
And who's to say he's really tilting? He might just be standing up sideways.
Or he's tilted. He's just real angry. He's really upset. But this is the theme song. This is the music you hear when you load up the game and you terraform and start your first city before destroying it with earthquakes and floods and all sorts of fun stuff. So this is the theme from SimCity Classic for Windows. Don't forget to tip your waitress. We are Robin Purnell and the Sexy Jazz Quartet.
6 feet apart in a club.
Yeah, the socially distant quartet. We just brought to you the theme from SimCity Classic for Windows.
Like, how long can you keep this voice up?
I can keep it up all day. Did you know when you start a new city in SimCity, it just calls it Heresville?
Wait, what?
And when I start a new city in SimCity, I call it There'sville, because I'm a clever guy.
I always come up with like just random dopey things like, I don't know, like Bagelberg or Peaceland or Hot Chicken Soup's Copia. I don't know.
I do love like classic SimCity. I never got into the newer ones. I honestly just keep going back to the original because it's on the Internet Archive, like in the DOS video game library that you can play on through the web browser, and it's all emulated. You just turn it on. You do have to look up the copyright protection because you have to like look up certain codes, and it says like, what's the population of this city, and you have to go look it up because it's the population of that city in like 1990 whatever, or in 80. It's the 80s, isn't it?
Possibly.
Anyway, it's
maybe
good. I do like this version of the theme song. It sounds different through the Sound Blaster. It sounds different through all of these different sound cards because it was General MIDI. It was just using the whatever standard instruments were built into the sound card. And I love how it's kind of cheesy, but every once in a while that fake synthetic trumpet sounds like really cool. You know, it's just like, oh, it's kind of off key. Then it does like a quick little like lick. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. But no, SimCity is all about the disasters. I mean, I have been playing it recently, and I do enjoy I enjoy putting a nice clean city together that's generating income, and I have a little fire department and a little nuclear plant. And then all of a sudden, like the whole screen shakes, and there's like a tornado that's just ripping through my town. And it's just so funny to me that like as like a tornado is literally like destroying homes like in an arc through the whole city. I'm just like putting parks like on the other side of town. I'm like maybe I'll put
a nice zen.
Yeah, maybe I'll put a football stadium right here, and there's like homes just getting wiped out. I'm like, I'll get back to that. It's fine. I'm one man, you know. I can't handle everything. I'm just one guy.
But you're the mayor.
I'm more than the mayor. I am also the Department of City Works and Functions. I'm their president. I'm their. They look up to me. Not
after that tornado's done with them.
No, they all moved out.
For me, the biggest natural disaster in that darn game was always just traffic.
Traffic was.
I guess it wasn't truly natural. It was not natural because obviously traffic comes from roads and people. But may as well have been natural because screw it, I never got it right. That was always the thing that ruined the SimCity play for me, was traffic. Because I just loved making cool, wacky highways, so I built these like road zones that just were meant to be there as roads.
It's like, it's a cool road design, and like the game will be like, oh, people are upset with traffic, and there's like, you know, crime in the streets, and you're like, oh, come on. I'm not going to put a police department there. It costs too much money. I'll put more roads down.
Yeah, just more roads, more traffic.
Give them more options to get where they need to go. I don't even know where they're going.
More industrial zones. What are they building over there? Heck if I know, but we're building it.
Because you know why? I don't live there. I live somewhere else.
Oh my god. So there's your NIMBY for you.
Yeah, that's my
The mayor's contrast to tell because he lives out in the hot suburbs.
Yeah. I live, not even that. Like I made there's always like a little house that I keep for myself out in the woods.
Wait, you actually built a vista for yourself in your SimCity games?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have like the main town, and I separate it like with a long road to where like the power plant is, and behind that's the industrial area. So there's a big space between the residential and the industrial area. You don't have to do this in the game. It's just I like to do it. And then like I would build a long ass road way out of town into the woods. Like sometimes even like over like the water onto an island, and then I'll put one residence there, and that's me.
over the river and through the woods to Rob's house we go.
That's where I live.
This is where you go to complain about the traffic problems.
No, they'll never make it. It's guarded. It's as a moat.
Is it guarded by Godzilla, which you can also put in the game?
And there's no roads that go there. I stopped the road. I don't know. It's maybe it's just a stupid little. I like to make a story out of what I'm doing. I guess that's what it is. But anyway.
Honestly, I can appreciate that. I mean, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, like you make your own story. You know, you make your own. You gotta make your own fun with these games. And I like that. Use your imagination. What's your next track?
The next track is from a game. Well, the game's been featured on the show, but I'm genuinely surprised I've never put this track in the game. Like, literally surprised. And if I did, well, how it didn't come up on the search, again, is beyond me.
Oh, you never put the track in the show?
I've never played it on the show. This comes from the game Yoshi's Woolly World, and the track is titled Lava Scarves and Red Hot Blargs. It is composed by Kazumi Totaka.
Ooh, I love the music. You've played some music from this game, haven't you? And it's good.
I've played at least one track from the game that I love. Like, it's a feel-good track. This one is not a feel-good track, but it's really good.
Okay.
It's still great. Welcome back! Oh, wait, I gotta bring it down a bit. You're listening to Lava Scarves and Red Hot Blargs from the game Yoshi's Woolly World for the Nintendo Wii, and it was composed by Kazumi Totaka.
No, it was not. This was composed by Black Sabbath.
Oh yeah, I'd be scared for a second. I was like, wait a minute, did I get it wrong?
No, this sounds like Sabbath or something. No, definitely Sabbath. This is so heavy. This is awesome.
And it's the only stage, only one stage of the game where this track plays, and it's the only track in the game that sounds like that it has this tempo level to it. Everything else is pretty relaxed and mellow, even like the Ghost House theme. But like, I was trying to think of a game that wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog, where a volcano erupts and you're running from the lava. And surprisingly, I cannot think of what it would be. Like I couldn't recall any. But I, of course, could recall games where you're playing in, like, fiery environments where, like, you're in the volcano. So, like, basically you're dealing with the effects of lava flows. Like, you know, fire rising up from the ground, you know, spouts. Or in the case of this game, fire monsters, which thank heavens they don't exist, because holy crap, that would be a terrifying thing to experience. Like, a lava monster just breaks from the ground, like, the magma's angry! But, so I was like, this is a good example to use for... like, you know, like fire, like the element of fire going out of control in the world. The one thing that came up, and I didn't even think about this until the other day because I was playing Death and Request, is you play a lot of games where you're like in volcanoes or in like magma caves and stuff like that. And though they address you taking damage or getting killed by like lava or fireballs, they never address the straight up heat that would be in a volcano. One game that did that was Tales of Eternia, where you had to use like a water shield that protected you for like 20 minutes of real time to get in and out.
Oh, I think they do that in Breath of the Wild. You need like protection from this like magma that's in the area, because just being near that stuff would absolutely kill you.
And that was something I was surprised about. The Death End Request, one of the endings, because that game has a lot of like bad endings you can get. That's the premise behind the game, is that you can die a lot by doing unfortunate things. And in one premise, you go into a volcano that's really hot and you're trying to explore, but then there's a moment where you set down an item to draw a boss out. And when you set the item down, the boss comes out, the characters will say, okay, we should go, now we gotta fight it, but we should make sure we're completely prepared, so as to not, fail. We only get one shot at this. So, if you try to go back to the save point, instead of just going and fighting the boss, like, checking your menu and going to fight them, you die. Like, if you go back to the save point, you die. And what happens is you get trapped in the volcano as the heat levels get to be too much and your party like dies from heat and melting, like literal melting. And it's by the guy who did Corpse Party, so they make it very disturbing. And I was like, ugh, I don't want this ending. This ending's horrible. Like, the bad endings make you feel terrible. You're like, I gotta make it right. I gotta make it right. And that was something that shocked you. I was like, oh my god, that's a horrible way to go. My characters are getting out of this volcano. We're not dying this way. This is terrible. But yeah, like fire is a true disaster in a way that I feel like very few of the disasters that we do get are as terrible as lava and magma would be.
Destructive,
Woof.
Now, you talked about having a water shield. So this game is all about water, Pernell. And actually, I really enjoyed this when it was on the Dreamcast.
Is it Sim Boat?
No, it is Wetrix. Ever play Wetrix?
I did.
It is a cool puzzle game. So this is, it's kind of not really Tetris, but it's definitely a puzzle game where you have to drop on a 3D map.
Freaking impossible,
like mountains to raise the land level. In specific.
Let's play the track. We can talk about the game when it comes back.
Anyway, it's in specific shapes, or you drop water, and you're trying to contain water. So this music is all about trying to contain water from overflowing all over the map. And the music, I believe, it's a little different between the N64 and the Dreamcast. And as much as I've played the Dreamcast and really enjoyed it, the N64 music is crazy good. I'm really into it. It's very much of the era kind of electronic music. So this is the Highscore music from Wetrix for the N64, composed by Suddi Raval. This is the Highscore music from the game Wetrix for the N64, composed by Suddi Raval. And Suddi writes to us, and he says, "My first time playing Wetrix was with my family in 1943.
Wow.
He wrote a testimonial for us. And he got the idea for Wetrix when he was dumping water into a garden. No, I don't know. It's a...
I mean, Wetrix, it's an interesting idea. I am wondering, it's difficult.
It's extremely difficult. And it's such a weird concept for a game at a time when 3D games were just becoming a thing, becoming in the mainstream.
I feel like that was one of the downsides to it, though, too. Wetrix the premise was awesome. So, like you were describing before, the idea is that you start with a flat landscape, and the pieces that you play with are, like it's like they're shapes like L blocks and stuff like that, but they're arrows. So it'd be like up arrows and down arrows shaped like an L or a cross. But when they hit the ground, depending on the direction of the arrows, that determines whether the elevation raises or lowers in that shape.
Yep. And
so
then,
you're trying
to contain water, because sometimes those pieces that are coming down aren't arrows, they're water. And so you're creating lakes. And if it runs off the side of the map, then the game is over. Or overflows everything. And you get bonuses for having multiple lakes in the game, in the playfield. But in the playfield, it's only so big. So you're trying to manage, like, raising and lowering essentially the sea level.
Yeah, because that's where it gets weird, though, because, like, there's two ways you can lose in this game. Well, actually, it's probably more than that, but... So, if you might be thinking to yourself, okay, we'll just raise the walls extremely high, and then just trap the water, and then... What? So, the problem is, you can't raise the terrain but so high, because if you get the walls too high, it results in earthquakes. And when you get earthquakes, it damages the landscape, putting holes in the map, causing water to leak out. Because the main way to lose the game is for your flat planet. Flat earthers won in this game. The flat plane, if it leaks too much water, you lose, because, like, basically, I don't know what you're flooding per se, but you just lost too much water. So when the earth opens up, of course, water's going to spill out and you lose. So you want to keep the ground at a certain elevation. You want to balance the elevation, but then at that point you worry about having too much water in those lakes, so you get occasional fireballs that would fall from the sky literally, and when they hit the water they evaporate, and that's how you get points. But then the thing that bugged me the most about this game was that due to the early nature of 3D, sometimes you'd be putting the arrow tiles up and then you put the water in and you'd have a leak that you can't find. Like, you'll just be seeing the water meter goes like, where's it coming from? And then you try to put like an L block in like to fill this little tiny hole, which just results in like a bigger problem, because then you have like half a lake coupled with a small zone. It was a brutal
because
game.
You can't. It's like you can't really like turn the thing around and like see what's going on with it. You know, it's like you have pretty much a static view of the map. And
no, you can turn it. You can turn it. It's just the 3D was just so primitive that even with the ability to turn the map, you just sometimes couldn't find the leak. You're just like scrambling. Like, the walls are up, but it's like this one niche in the corner of the square that you didn't fill in. So I was like, ugh, this is frustrating. But at the same time, the game was still fun. Just good luck getting high scores. If you want to talk about people who are like, anybody listening to this show that's like, I do Let's Plays or I do Twitch, play this crap. Play this game and play it well. I'll tune in for that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of playthroughs of Wetrix on YouTube. I would like to see someone like really like figure this game out and like just wreck it.
That's right.
All right, what's your last track, Pernell?
All right, so this track was an odd choice of mine, but I felt like I was hoping I could find music from this game. Thankfully, the track was decent in that it's good, but it's not a usual Pernell jam. But it's from a game that I felt I wanted to represent on this themed episode. And this game is called Disaster Report 4. This is the main menu theme from Disaster Report 4. So I would assume this is like the title screen, because I haven't played it in a little bit, so I don't remember where it played at in the game. But it's composed by My Lida. Or My Lida. welcome back to Rhythm and Pixels. A track that I played was from Disaster Report 4. That track was the main menu theme composed by my lighter, and it was hot! Very hot. I actually like this track a lot. Apparently it's from the main menu, but honestly, I'm thinking it was from the title screen because I played this game and I own it, but I genuinely can't remember where this would have been played at otherwise because the game is primarily silent, typical environmental sounds except for like during tense situations where, they want to ramp the tension up. Oh, that track we played earlier, we were talking about like games that have music for tension and such. But I wanted to pick this track because even though the game itself isn't all that spectacular, you gotta be able to appreciate games that may be not particularly high on the tech scale. Like it's just more like this is something that someone wanted to create. It's got some flaws. Can you deal with those or not? But if you can, I think it's a pretty cool concept for a game. Like in fact, just to cover the due, this game was originally being designed from as far back, if I'm not mistaken, on like the PS2, and it got all the way up to the freaking Switch before they finally finished it.
Oh,
this game has
really?
been in the works for a long time.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought you said the first game was on the PS2, but now
yeah, it was. So was this one. Just it took them this long to release it. Like it went into like developer limbo for like a decade.
Is it such a large game? Is such a big? What's it about?
Yeah, it's a simple premise, really. It's you're just a normal citizen in Japan who, while out and about one day, experienced a natural disaster, most particularly an earthquake. But it's a really, really bad earthquake. Like, it shuts everything down. And the game is you just making progress across this landscape. Like, the people you come across, the situations you encounter as Japan is dealing with natural disaster. So like, for example, just like one general scenario where like you might be walking down the street and aftershock will happen and the building in front of you will literally collapse, like a giant skyscraper will just collapse, and if you're too close you'll die. It'll crush you. But if you're not too close, you will still lose your balance and fall unless you press like a certain button to keep yourself balanced, because again, an entire building just fell nearby. It's going to be hard to stand the heck up. But it's just this interaction, like you might say, there's like a sequence in the game where you're talking to some survivors, and then an aftershock occurs, which causes a gas truck to kind of start like leaking gas, which is precariously near fire. And the fire ignites some of the gas and starts to move along, and you're like, we gotta get out of here before this truck explodes. So you're trying to like push something out of the way so you can like run away before it collapses, before it explodes. And it's like, but it's not portrayed like an action movie. It's portrayed like, what if you were actually in a natural disaster and you're like, we gotta get out of here, and people like one girl's like crying or whatever.
Wow.
And
So it's more like a role playing type thing. Like it puts you in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. And yet there's some dumb elements though to it too. Like clearly moments where they didn't play test it. Like there was a sequence in the game early on where you're in a department store and like there's like clothing you can buy. You pay money for the clothes and switch into them. But what happens is you save like the owner of the store. Like you go through a series of steps and eventually you find the owner of the store stuck in the storage room. She's stuck under some boxes that collapsed during the earthquake. So you help her out and blah blah blah. She's like, thank you for your help. As appreciation, you're welcome to anything in the store. So I went and got an outfit and put it on my character. Like, all right, cool, I got some new clothes.
Okay.
Then I start to walk out. The gay goes into a cutscene where she accuses me of stealing the clothes. And she takes them back. I was like, what the heck? I just saved your life. But then when you go back in and talk to her, she's like, thanks again for all your help. Like you smarmy jerk.
Oh,
that's my pants.
Oh, that's funny. You think you're doing the right thing.
And she takes me out for shoplifting. You gotta be kidding.
Oh man, that's like when I used to play Zelda on the Game Boy. What was that one? That was
Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening, and I discovered that I could steal from the shop.
But don't go back.
But I was just playing around. I was like, I wonder if I could just pick this up and walk out. And I actually got out of the shop. And then, then the game was over. And I'm so glad I didn't save it.
Yeah, cause I think that's one of the best examples I've come across in a random game where like how they react to stealing. Like if you steal in that game, everyone refers to you as thief for the rest of the game. Like, every character. Yep. And if you go back to the shop, the shopkeeper kills you.
Yes, the shopkeeper will just destroy it. That happens in Enter the Gungeon if you steal from the shop, and there's ways to do it.
You can steal in that game?
Yeah, because there's like grappling hooks and stuff like that. So if you attack the shopkeeper, he locks the doors and just like wrecks you. Like just the whole room becomes like a wall of bullets.
Whoa.
And then if you steal from the shop, he does that again, and if you escape, then he's just gone for the rest of the game, and you just have to play without the shopkeeper. But
you can actually escape the room after you steal?
Is it because you can do it like right from the door if you have like the right items to do it.
Ah.
Yes, and there's achievements and there's things you can only do from stealing, and I never really got that far into it because it's too useful to have a shop in that game to do anything. So it's just like,
what can you do that you can only do by stealing from him though?
But I don't know. Maybe there's certain like items that are worth more than others that there's impossible ways to get it. So. And I think it's probably only in the newer versions of the game that you haven't seen, where like items are like over like $9,000 that you'll never have. So,
so they're almost designed to be stolen.
Yeah, essentially, it's designed just to grab them. So yeah, you just do that, and then you just walk right out of it. But I think one thing that is not a disaster is that every week we turn our music down and we do the bonus round.
Bonus round.
That segue.
Rhythm Pixels, the bonus round, where we play them cover remix themes that you might want to hear, maybe see the Rhythm Pixels bonus round. I don't know why I just wanted to do that.
Wow, I was gonna say my segue was a disaster, but that was amazing.
Oh my god!
Like it's better every week.
It's like I think it's funny because like I always think to do it right when we're about this. Like I should say something. How am I going to say it this time? I got it. That was like a TGIF theme song above a. Show you how it's done. This the bonus round. Well, I want to use that again later too.
You should. I love it. The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes on our theme. And Pernell, we haven't heard from this game in a while. This is from the game Ristar.
Oh my! There's a track you haven't played yet?
No, well, I mean, no, this is a remix
of
the level Splashdown, in which
nice.
the whole level is just flooding, and so a lot of it's underwater, a lot of it's above water, and it's some of my favorite music in the game. And it was reinterpreted by Toni Leys.
Like the chip company guy?
No, like the Sonic Remake guy.
Oh, he's cool.
He's very good. So this is Splashdown, ! The remake by Toni Leys. You're listening to the Splashdown remake. That was by Toni Leys from the game Ristar, the shooting star for the Sega Genesis. And it is completely remade with new instruments. It's a little faster. The rhythm section's got lots more like syncopation to it. It's really, really clever. But like the music is the same. Like the music from Ristar is that good that it stands up to just completely being remade from the ground up. It's so cool.
I love like the energy that this had compared to the original.
Yeah, it does. It has more energy to it. Like there's more of like a punchy kind of like fun bass to it that makes you want to dance. Again, that rhythm is just much more. I don't know. It's just jumpy. It's poppy. It's fun. It makes me want a Ristar remake so bad. I would love that. I mean, it's just, I don't know, maybe I just want to play the game again because it's so colorful, it's so fun and bright, and I just love the characters. It's not a fast game, it's not Sonic, but it feels like it. It feels like of that world. It's so good.
And in of itself is like, I don't know, like Ristar just has always had an OST that stuck out well to me. And as long as you can deal with the pacing, because as we all know, Ristar is slow unless you're in the trees or unless you're swinging from stuff.
Yeah.
But as long as you can deal with that, I think this game is worth just as many playthroughs as people will give a Sonic game.
I think so too. I think it's a really interesting game that flew under a lot of people's radar. And and it sounds amazing. The music is just phenomenal. But the gameplay is cool too. It's a really cool game for the Genesis. And it is by the Sonic team, so the polish is all there, the polish of the time.
And I do like to give you guff over like how much you played it over the course of the show. But in all due honesty, like thinking back, I can remember, like mentally recall a number of the tracks from this game because they resonated with me that much, which says a lot considering I actually never owned Ristar. I only ever played it through Sega Channel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
but I know so much of the music by heart.
Yeah, it's just memorable. It's just really catchy, and it's really well done. And it sounds great on the Genesis hardware. I love the way it sounds. I love the way that console sounded.
What was your favorite track from the game? Can you recall?
Oh, it's this one. It's Splashdown.
Oh, Splashdown.
Yeah, It's this one and the second stage. Oh, no, the ice one.
Oh, I can dig that.
But yeah, they're just really. And then the fire one, I can't. It's hard to pick. The magma, it's called like Magma Flare or whatever it's called, Magma Burst. It's really good. I could have picked that one, but no, I wanted Splashdown.
My favorite one is the one I like is called Busy Flare.
Yeah, Busy Flare. That's the one. That's
so
the fire
good.
stage. That's really good. All right, what's your bonus round pick?
I actually didn't do remakes or cover this time, but it was a vocal track. And when I ended up coming across, like, you know what? I don't want to use this for a normal track because I always feel weird about using vocal tracks for my normal picks in the show.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I also wanted to have this on the show itself. So this is one of those episodes where Pernell didn't do remix or cover. Oh, no! But I did, etc. So this comes from the game The Flame and the Flood, and it's titled River and Dale, and it's composed and sung by Chuck Ragan.
Touched by the sun, humbled by his sleep is mercy. Though I've a way, still I'm begging. Color me grateful for the horizon of day, the breath that I've won and the courage it takes to find closure in the wake of disaster. Oh, to find savior in the way of the water. Steady, steady as a storm, flowing ever present hope. Through the shadows, beyond the gunwale, the safety aboard a vessel propelled by my own will, drifting away from the danger. Under the willows Machino the dew, some laugh at the wind, oh, some cry to their makers, listen to them for an answer. Dragging the river, always in search for a wager. Steady, steady as a stone, below an ever-present hope. Steady, to feel the still and know the journey was its waiting for.
I need a harmonica. That's the closest to a harmonica
that was a
playing
harmonica,
impression.
That was a harmonica sound.
That was the intent.
Wow. It's like you're right there playing harmonica with me in my harmonica band. Yeah,
that's right. I'm making that work happen. I'm putting in that work. This was River and Dale from the game The Flame and the Flood, composed by Chuck Ragan and also sung by him as well. This track is a wonderful tune. The entire OST to this game is just bliss. And I'm glad that by choosing this track, I've officially hit I'm sure there's more types than I can think of right now, but I've hit all 4 major natural disasters that came to mind for me. Basically, wind, tornadoes, lava flows from volcanoes, i.e. fire, earthquakes for earth, and floods for water. I ran the full gamut.
Yeah, is
there a natural disaster that comes to mind that you're like, wait a minute, you didn't think about that one, Pernell? Locust infestation, sucker.
This game might have that. This is a survival game where you have to like scavenge and you have to like really fight to stay alive in this game.
And it's difficult. I've never gotten to the end of the river ever.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive, and the whole soundtrack is really impressive too. The artist has a as a career, of course, outside of music, but the entire album was composed for this game, so that's really, really cool stuff. So for more information on the bonus round, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We're going to have links on the Bandcamps and SoundClouds and everywhere where you can download the music and support these amazing artists. Awesome Possum.
Okay, got the Machinos, but
it's called Saving the World.
That's what it's called?
Yes, the ending theme. All right, thanks for joining us on episode 24-4 of Rhythm and Pixels. This is our music for the destruction of the elements.
And how destructive. The forces of nature don't mess around.
Yeah.
When they want something, they come and take it.
Well, I think we got some good music for this episode. So the next time there's a terrible storm outside and you lose power, make sure you save just enough on your phone to listen to our show.
And also be holy cow, be aware of the fact that something's happening and don't be goofy about it.
Or maybe call your family and make sure everyone's okay. But at the same time, I mean, Purnell's voice can make you feel safe and at home.
That is true.
Yeah.
If you want, I'll even record a loop of myself saying, "Keep your butt in the house. Don't go outside. It's a freaking tornado, crazy man or lady. Stay home. Stay home. Is your APC charged? It should be. Stay home."
we can put that on a loop, and that'll be available to us to you on Patreon. So for just a small donation of $85.
Don't all line up now.
No. Anyway, this has been a good show. We got a lot of great music in today. Next week, Purnell, I am not going to be around, so we're going to have to record a week later. Is that cool with you?
A week later?
Like on a Monday.
Oh, I was like, I thought you were like, how are we going to record a week later? You can't kick an episode back in time.
So either our next episode is going to be awesome, or it's going to be a mixtape, which I don't know if you like those or not, but you might like.
We'll make do. I mean, we already have an idea for the topic, so it's really a matter of like if you were able to if you'll be able to record it and then do the edit in time. But
I think I will. I think I will. I'll be back in time. Back in time, and I'm glad I'm not the only one. But yeah, so if you would like to get in contact with us, if you have a topic suggestion, if you have a track suggestion, or if you just want to say hello, please send us an email. That's the best way to do it.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And for more information about our show, full track listing from all of our episodes and access to all of our episodes and all the other stuff that we're doing, check out the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
And if you want to check us out on social media like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, it's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. Most of the discussion happens on our Facebook group, Rhythm and Pixels Chat. You can find us there. On Instagram, it's really just kind of like a gallery of all of the silly artwork that we do for every episode. So that's really nice to have them all laid out in front of me, all of the work that I've done there. And on the website too, there's a link for our Discord server, and there's usually some discussion happening there too. So from the website, click that, and you can go there. Over on youtube.com/rhythmandpixels, we have a 24/7 radio stream playing nothing but 8-bit and 16-bit classics and deep cuts, and just can't stop, won't stop. That little server is running in my closet, and we will just keep playing music for you until it dies.
Won't stop.
Or if there's a terrible disaster and it cuts out, which it did. So, but it's back. It's back online. Everything's good. And and if you'd like to support the show, one of the best things you can do is just tell people about it. Tell people what you're listening to, what you're into, and that's video game music. And there's a lot of other great podcasts out there that you can tell them about. There is a new episode of Forever Sound version from Michael Bridgewater. So I'm really excited about that. He's got the dyad with him on that episode, so that's really cool. So definitely check that out, and check out.
I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, I'm glad he's back too. Check that out. Check out KVGM, The Last Wave. Check out XVGM, The Last Something with Mike Levy and Justin Bieber. It's amazing they've got Bieber on that show. But I mean, he's into game music. He's inspired by something, and that's game music.
I think it's game music.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, his last song was clearly just a rip from Sonic 2. Ice Cap Sound. I mean, honestly, I wish that was true, because that would be awesome. I don't know how he gets away with it, but yeah, there's a lot of other great shows
by not being true.
Yeah, there's a lot of other great shows out there. Please explore them. But if you'd like to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels, and there you get access to a prequel episode every week and a live streamed episode where we record the episode in front of you as a live audience and make jokes and silly stuff once a month. And there's also some cool little things that you get. What are they called? Things that you get from supporting the Patreon on the radio station as well. But we also like to thank our Patreon members at the end of every episode. So that is Nick Walker and The Last Rican, Mike Myers, Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Sonic Medley, Taco, Harold Howard, David Taylor, Reinhard Zelkova, Andreas Mielberg, Dan Loughton, Phantom Jest, Steve Miller, The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Worma, Christopher Shenstrom, Bobby Arson from One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast, and Brian Pitt. So thank you all very much for your continued support of our little podcast that we just keep doing.
Thanks for being awesome, and thank you for just being there with us, because it's appreciated, whether you know it or not. Which we hope you know, because we want you to know it's appreciated.
That's right. Yeah, it's not like you're just supporting. Like, you're here with us, and that means a lot to us that you're here.
And I think it's interesting. Like, I mean, it may not seem like it, but we genuinely do try to communicate and chat with everybody when we can. Like, obviously, life is busy and times happen, but honestly, if I see somebody make a comment on Discord that's directed to me, I get back to them.
Oh, yeah.
And if I see something that's just genuinely funny on Discord, I'll get back to them and after that too. But the Facebook, pretty much responding to every friggin' thing on there. I keep up. So, like, honestly, you're not just some rando face. Like, if you write in, if you message, you're in communication with us.
That's right. You're part of the Rhythm and Pixels family.
That's correct.
That's right. And in this family, there's a fee. And then it's blood. No, I'm kidding.
Sweat or tears?
Yeah, it's sweat. It's sweat. You know, you got to build a house, and for me and Pernell to live in.
Gotta build a house made of straw.
And then once you're done with that, you got to write songs for us so that we can, I don't know, record it.
Time for Pernell, time for the album to come out. You have to just sit down and write tracks. I'll never forget, like, how, like, when I was a kid, I think I said this on the show before too.
I don't know.
Like, I used to work at a credit card processing center, and I would, like, one day while conversing with some friends at the job, I was talking about how, like, country music was just, like, I was kind of making fun of it at the time, I'll admit.
Yeah.
And I was talking about, like, it all sounds the same, and it's always depressing themes, and I just started singing, like, this random riff of, like, my impression of a country song, and this one guy at the job was in literal stitches over it, like, was just crying. And it got to the point where he would constantly bug me to sing random songs, and then eventually he paid me real money.
What?
To record, like, 3 random, like, riff songs.
You've never talked about this.
Yep. He paid me to record a cassette with some actual recorded songs on it. They weren't obviously full songs. It was just like me saying dumb stuff with the twang and some music in the background. But he loved it. It was, and to me, I was like, I don't know why he finds this so funny, but hey,
I wonder if that's out there.
If I'm making someone laugh, I'm gonna keep doing it.
I always wonder if stuff like that, like ephemera from like the days of tape decks and 4-track recorders, how much of that got recorded onto like YouTube or somewhere online now.
I wonder about that. I mean, I'm sure some people have pulled it off. It usually ends up being done like they'll probably like record it, or they would connect like an aux cable to like their boombox or something, and just
I'm thinking about it. I have a lot of old tapes from when I was like recording really early in high school. I'm wondering if I should move those over. Because a lot of that stuff was old on like tracker files and stuff that I used to do, like mods.
If you got the goods, you should.
I don't think it's good at all, honestly. Maybe it should all stay in the closet.
That's part of the fun. It's the early days.
Although honestly, magnetic tape doesn't last. It does break down over time, and it could be breaking down right now. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so keep it, because it's the one thing you're like, it wasn't all that good, but it's still yours. It's your product, and it sucks that it would suck for it to get lost in time.
I should do
Just like when people remember you always hear when people say, "Oh, I'm not really good at taking pictures. I'm not good in pictures." So they never take photos, and then 20 years go by, and they want to look back and feel a little nostalgic. They got nothing. Yeah. They never took photos.
I should do that. I should digitize my old music. And,
but don't crunchitize it, because
it already sounds crunchy. I was on it to Chris Smith and be like, "Hey, remember this? Remember when we drank way too much caffeine and did this in your basement? It's crazy."
Like, yes.
Yeah, Chris would be like, "Yeah, I remember all that. You left it all there in my basement." I did. I used to leave all my equipment in his basement. We would set everything up on this old pool table, like my old turntables and keyboards and stuff.
I mean, it makes sense to do. I mean, if that's where you were primarily doing your records and stuff too, like, why dig it up to go home? Especially if he wasn't like, "My parents are mad about the stuff in the basement again. We gotta move it all."
No, yeah, it was there for a long, long time. Anyway, I think we're running on a little too long here.
Sometimes it's good to just ramble.
Yeah, no, that was an interesting anecdote. I've never heard from your life about that. I'm becoming more incoherent.
That's what happens to you. Like after like 9 o'clock, you're like falling asleep.
I'm not good. So anyway, thanks for everyone for listening to the show. We'll see you next week. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Good night.
And remember, see, this is kind of a fun one, because I think I genuinely said this earlier today. So I was like, I'll just carry it over to the show proper, too. Which is that disappointment sucks. But I will also say that taking disappointment in stride is truly what can be considered a virtue, because disappointment is awful, but you can also learn and grow from the disappointment as long as you have the means of which to fortify yourself to push through it. With that said, though, there's no shame in acknowledging that disappointment sucks, and there's no shame in acknowledging it for what it is, and not just bottling up your frustrations and such. Because even though people might say it's more manly, it's really just punishing yourself. If you need to let it out, let it out. Just also know that the other side is what you're trying to get to. You don't want to stay in the disappointment too long. It's just not worth it. You're going to help it. So, Ramble Town.